Hi there, and welcome to the first set of results that we're communicating to this year from the 2025 Zwift Club Series. Apologies for taking so long to get these out, but fortunately, or unfortunately as the case may be, I've managed to pull a calf muscle trying to compete with my wife, I'm afraid, on her e-bike. And that's had me sitting at home all weekend pulling some results together. So here you go. After 3 weeks of racing, we've got some results to share with you. First of all, we do want to make sure that we say a big thank you to our sponsors, to TriFit and to Rixo Recovery, who are supporting this series and providing some of the prizes. I understand that TriFit are launching some new products, and hopefully we'll be hearing about those in a future review. Anyway, 3 weeks of racing done, and it's been exciting, and it's been the busiest year that we've ever had. So thank you to everybody, especially those captains, for herding you cats in getting you organised into races and teams during the head-to-head part of the series. It's a lot of work, and we really do appreciate everything that all the captains do to keep you involved. So we've had 44 teams from 16 triathlon clubs representing their clubs in the series so far. There's about 575 riders now in some way involved, have taken part in at least one event or another. That's quite amazing, quite incredible, a lot more than we've ever had before. It's keeping those of us that are doing the scoring pretty busy, but hopefully of the 14 races that are completed, we can give you a position and a status of where things are up to. So, but before we do that, as we like to remind you all every time, this is about getting everybody involved, making feel everyone clear that they are contributing to the scores and hopefully having a lot of fun. A few things to mention. Steve from Rochdale, who during one of the races was actually on his ski holiday at the time, and Steve, normally one of the faster riders that we have and finishes right up there, he was very keen to point out that because he didn't come in the top 2 or 3, that was probably because he was at altitude. That's what he says. Anyway, well done, Steve, for the commitment of taking part. We have to smile as one of your team captains, who obviously should be very experienced, managed to stop cycling within about 2 or 3 seconds of the finish line in the last series of races, which presumably made everybody smile. Special mention to a young rider, Alfie Bundy, who's our individual top scorer in the first 3 weeks of racing, and putting out a very impressive 4.8 watts per kilo for one of our young riders. Mentioning Alfie means that I also need to mention another point, which is that Alfie, as a young rider who's converted from an under 16, and some of you might know that under 16s with their own Zwift accounts aren't able to join the races. So now Alfie, having got older than that, is now using his dad's, or him and his dad are sharing a Zwift account. And as one Eagle Eye captain spotted, that means that the weight that is associated with Alfie's account fluctuates quite a lot, when sometimes his dad's using it and sometimes he's using it. So there's a bit of fluctuation. We trust all our riders to be honest about their weight and therefore how they perform when it comes to a watts per kilo, particularly on the climbs. Alfie and his dad have been in touch to make clear how they're operating that account. We're all about making sure that everybody can contribute all the time. We know there's a cost involved as Zwift subscriptions, so if you're sharing subscriptions, please do try to take care to make sure that you're adjusting the weight to make it as fair as possible. We trust you all to do it, and there's no medals, Olympic medals at stake here, so let's just work with each other, but just wanted to make sure that was pointed out as that came up in the last couple of weeks. Alfie comes from Rochdale, and Rochdale, as ever, having won the series the last few iterations, did tremendously well to get 7 teams out in week 2. And the number of teams that you get out affects the score of your fastest team. So those of you that are the faster riders, you need to be encouraging everybody in your club to get out and put teams together. Even if their team isn't going to win, it is going to add to your points, and that's going to make a difference at the end. It's great to see the Barbarians. First time we've done this, collecting riders from 3 or 4 different clubs And what we've seen is that they are now looking very competitive as well as a racing format. So we're delighted with that experiment, the Barbarians. Well done, you guys. Keep at it. You're up and amongst them in the scores at the moment. Serpentine and Trident, fantastic again. An innovation this year is to have a couple of clubs from outside the Northwest. Really good to see you guys getting involved and competing, learning how it works. We're enjoying having you as part of the competition. Some other things to point out to you. The under 18s, the over 50s and the female riders are making big scores this year. So when I had a quick look at the average score per rider across the various clubs, we see the under 18s, the over 50s and the female riders right up there making big differences. So do encourage everybody to take part. No matter how strong they are individually, the bonus points that these riders get make a big difference. Mersey, your first season racing with us and showing very strongly. Probably one of our strongest new teams we've ever had. So thanks for that. Hope you're enjoying it. Wyre and Tri Lakeland are clearly pushing our perennial winners Rochdale now, getting bigger turnouts and doing good performances. So that's great to see. We want you, though, to get involved. And just a reminder, please, if you see anything funny, special, interesting that happens during the races, get onto the YouTube channel, put a comment in the comments box. We'll pick those up. If you've got anyone you want to mention for a special performance, do so, and we will mention them in the reports going forward. So please do help us to highlight anything that you've enjoyed in the racing. I can't watch all the races. I can't see everything that's going on. So you need to see those opportunities and point them out. Please do get involved. So, as you know, you're divided into two leagues at the moment. So looking at the A League, in week 2, Rochdale A, unsurprisingly top scoring, but Tri Lakeland right behind them, their A team as well. It was good to see Total A winning against a very strong Bolton B team. Bolton B seems to be stacked with all their fastest riders. That was tight, and it was a tight race. And Serpentine A, good to see you in your first competitive head-to-head race winning, your A team coming in first. So well done, you guys. In week 3, again, we saw Total A doing very well, and this time matching Rochdale A as the top scoring team over 11 points in week 3. Not quite such a high scoring week in League A. Serpentine A matching Lakeland A and Bolton B as joint third. So much closer racing in week 3. And Dan from Preston, just to mention you are currently the highest scoring captain across all the leagues. So well done to you. Good to see you dragging Preston up and making sure that you're competitive too. Good to see. All of that has led to the following. After week 3, in first place we've got Rochdale A on 46 points, closely followed by Lakeland A on 39 points. Rochdale B and C up there as well. As ever, the Rochdale A, B and C teams doing particularly well because they get so many riders out. But Rochdale A have raced Lakeland A, who also get a strong number of teams out, and that means that those two clubs have got a particular boost in this set of scores. That will start to adjust as the larger clubs start to race some of the smaller clubs in this series. So just a reminder that even at week 3, there's a bit of shuffling to go on depending on who you've already met up with in the first 2 head-to-head weeks of racing. But great to see all of that going on. I'll just give you a little bit of time to see if you can find your club on that table and see where you stand. As you can see, lots of close, even joint equal placings in this. So, for example, Total A and Lakeland B on the same number of points. And all the way down the table, you can see it's pretty tight at this stage. The scoring system does that. And it makes sure that the faster teams do well, but the faster teams, when they beat more competing teams, even from their own club, do particularly well. So just don't forget that, and I can't stress it often enough. Get your over 50s, your female riders, your under 18s involved. They boost your scores and they bring you higher up the standings on any given week. Get the quantity of riders out and your faster riders benefit from that. League B is more competitive, as it turns out, even than League A. It's really tight in League B, and it's quite exciting to see that. In week 2, we saw the merged Chester and Manchester clubs. Their A team, the top scoring club, followed by the Barbarians. So those mixed clubs which are in League B doing particularly well. Wyre coming in well, and then Trident A and Mersey A close behind those, and Chorley A close behind. So in this league, no one is breaking away and smashing away at this stage. Week 3, we had Trident A this time as the joint top scoring club with the Manchester Chester club, but then Wyre, Barbarians and Mersey coming in joint third, and Chorley another 9-point score for A. So all pretty tight. When we look at the results, what does that mean? Well, because Wyre got so many riders out into the very first week of racing, that means that even though they didn't win either of week 2 or week 3, they are just squeezing top of the league by just 1 point. So Wyre A, then Barbarians A at 38 points, Manchester Chester A at 35 points, Trident A at 34 points, Mersey A at 33 points. So you can see incredibly tight at the top of the table. Wyre B joint there with Mersey A. Really, really, really tight. Chorley have not yet raced either of the bigger clubs. They've tended to race smaller clubs. So though it's 24 points, Chorley A have won outright both their races, and they look like they're in a position when they start to race the bigger clubs like Wyre, Barbarians and so on, then they may be leaping up the table. As you can see, if you look down the points on this League B after week 3, everything's tight. Everything is to play for. So it's going to be an exciting season, I think. And I'm very excited about the fact that we've managed to get the balance right between the clubs in League B and League A. Pretty well organised, and I think it's going to be tight not only within your leagues but also when we come back together after the league head-to-heads are done for the semi-finals and final races, which we'll talk more about later. Just a heads up in case you're organising yourselves, when we finish the head-to-head races we will have the special semi-final races in which your fastest female scores. We'll talk more about how that race works, but that's a fun race which is all about working together as a team much more than anything else. So we'll come back to that later on in the series, but it all makes a difference. So week 4 coming up now, 10th of February it starts on Monday the 10th, and in League A we've got Preston racing total, we've got Lakeland, which is a big club. It's a big opportunity for you Serpentine to get in there and get some good points, and Bolton likewise, a big opportunity for you to score some points. That Bolton B team, we're going to be seeing how you get on. If you can beat all of the Rochdale teams, you're going to score big points this week, so get yourselves organised. Chorley are racing Trident. Again, Chorley, your opportunity. Trident often get 3 or 4 teams out, so you could get some big points in there, Chorley, if you get out. Barbarians versus Mersey, that's going to be an exciting one. We've got the Barbarians who are flying high, and they've got a very good fast A team, but Mersey have got some good results out as well, so that's good. And Chester, your chance to score big, because Wyre tend to get a lot of riders out in their racing too. So get yourselves organised. I can see some of the races are already set up in the Zwift app, so we look forward to seeing how you get on, and hopefully I'll be able to stay a little bit more on top of the scoring and get you some results out after week 4. I'll do my very best, but there are a lot of you and there's a lot of scoring maths to be done. If you're at all confused about how the scoring is done, I have loaded onto the YouTube channel a guide on how the scoring works out. If you love a spreadsheet, watch that video. Even if you don't, it might give you a bit of a clue as to how the results are spinning out of the races so far. Anyway, all the best to you all. Wishing you a great bit of racing in week 4, and I look forward to hearing the stories. Just a reminder, don't forget, anything that you think has been fun, interesting, annoying, whatever it is about it, get it in the comments box of the YouTube channel if you possibly can, or get it to your captain and get them to put it in the captain's WhatsApp group, or email me, and we'll try to include that in the presentation next week. Thanks very much and enjoy the racing.